I've gotten this question 4 or 5 times this week alone, and that's what do I need when I'm doing my rebrand? Now, we can't do everyone's rebrand, even though we love doing it. We can only take so many clients having a small team. But I did want to talk about a couple of things that you should consider when you're having your rebrand done. And, I haven't taken any time to get this video set up. I just got off another call, and I figured this would be a great way to look into some of the details. So what I'm going to do is actually shrink my head down to the bottom corner and walk through our brand guide, because this is one of the things that gets really overlooked. If you were to think back to the last time that you saw like a fake product or like a dupe of something, or even like something that just didn't feel right. And when you're looking at it, whether it's a car that is a kit car versus the real one, or, a fake Nike sneaker, the thing that's usually off is the logo, that it's kind of messed up in some way or another. And that's the place that I think you should start with your brand. I know you're going to have a vision and an idea of where you want things to go, but the most important thing is being able to know that when that brand is done and you're proud of it, that it's represented and showcased in a way that makes the most sense. And this is something that should come with any design package that you're doing when it comes to updating your brand, and that's having a brand guide. Sometimes it's called having brand standards, sometimes it's a media kit, but the idea is that when someone else is using your brand, whether you're passing it along to your web designer to get your website built, or having somebody use your logo, or maybe even your headshot for an article that you've been quoted in, the whole point is that you're being represented consistently everywhere that you look. And in today's world where anybody can post anything on the internet, it's really important that when someone sees the name of your company, that it is consistent, because then they know that it's you. It's not just thinking that you could be ABC Hardware, or someone else could be the same 323 Media as we are, because of that consistency. So I wanted to scroll through a couple of these things here, because this is really simple, and this is the one that we updated for ourselves. If you go to our website, you'll be able to see that this is actually a theme that goes through the entire website. This document is even branded like our website is. We have texture on all of the white elements that are there. We have our headers and our different titles in different places. The placements on the side are for physical documents. You'll see on our website that they're actually upside down at the top of the page. And this is the text that we have that's everywhere. It gives a little bit of a background, company voice, and this is really important here. Let me move this to the other side where there's no text. So here is how do you introduce, how is it an extended bio? And this is something that's really important for me when people are talking about the company that I represent, when I'm doing a speaking gig or participating in a webinar, being a guest, those types of things. Because if someone were just to Google 323, they might find one of the other companies that's also called 323, because there's a 323 Media that exists somewhere else in the US that just does real estate videos. That's not us. We're a very different company than that, and we're based in Canada. So this is important to be able to have the company voice. The brand is where you'll probably have the most visual identity and issues creating this to be the same. And I'd suggest a couple of tips that are here. The first is show all variations of your logo of what you like doing or is allowed. And you can ask your designer to include this as well. Sometimes it can be easier to think about where the logo is going to go in terms of why you want it to be there. So one that's missing here that doesn't apply to us is how the logo would look on black. And if you were a company where your uniforms, like at a restaurant or for your retail staff, are always wearing black shirts or black t-shirts, you'd want to know how your logo is going to look on black. For us, it's specifically part of the design to encourage bold colors and to encourage places that it's going to pop off. So that's why ours is done in that manner. This is another one, is to eliminate crowding and being able to see that there's enough space and give different elements in terms of how it's done. Now, for designers out there that might be watching this, of looking how to create brand standards, this is the implementation part. And I would always suggest that you include a guideline or a different way that you can help somebody understand more than just eyeballing. Because typically dropping this into a sheet or into a website or different places, you may not have any padding that's built into the logo, or it can be an odd shape. So you can see here on the bottom of ours, because of the tail of the conversation bubble, the padding has to be readjusted because of how this changes the shape. It's not an exact circle or square. We do have secondary logos, and I know you'll probably see this, especially if you're on YouTube and social media, looking at all the different people who are creating merch drops. You see a lot of different variations of their name being spelled out differently. For how we do things, we have just our two logos. We have our icon 323, and then we have our 323 media that's designed to be kind of like a graffiti script. The other part of it that you'll see is we have this. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's actually a collage that looks like there's a bunch of conversations happening. And this is actually one of my favorite things. It's designed to look like there's a bunch of conversations happening in a room. So like when you walk into a busy event where there's going to be networking, it's a bunch of different conversations that are happening. And our idea of that is that even with all these conversations happening in the background, that you can stand out. And that's our speech bubble that has 323 in it. Here are the no-nos, which are actually really fun to do. And there's one little Easter egg that's in here. And this is actually one of our old logos. And so previously, version 1.0 of the 323 design was actually just 323 and the border. And we went through numerous different colors. Even everyone who got hired, their business cards, they got to choose their own color. And so we actually had every single business card for 323 was unique to the employee who had it. And that was a lot of fun. And that was an idea that I got from a trade show like 20 years ago. But I thought it was so cool. And that way, if someone got my card that was green versus Jeanette's card that was a lilac versus Josh's card that was a lime green, you could remember almost that it was, the person that gave it to you, and there was that instant credibility and memorable aspect of who they were beyond just who the company was that they worked for. So now we've changed that. This is 2.0 of the 323 brand. We have our text included. One other tip that I would give is if you request a font or multiple fonts, make sure that there are things that are easy to read in different formats, and also something that is easily available. So if you're going to be using different freelancers to help you with different aspects of your brochures or your website, having consistency, the go-to that is really simple is using Google Fonts. Google Fonts are free, they're available, and they're easy to be downloaded, but also being web safe. So the printout promo that you use versus your brochure versus your business card and your website can all look unique and like your brand, but they all match. Again, being consistent and making sure that your brand is recognized beyond just your logo. Here are the colors specifically, and I know this may look a little bit different for you depending on what your settings currently are on your phone or your computer, especially with the auto settings to adjust based on the light that's in the room. But the idea here is that no matter what the production specs are, you're able to have them properly created, whether it's somebody who's looking to use a specific print file or being able to do screen printing, however their setup is currently operating, this won't have any translation issues in terms of making guesses of how your brand should look. This, to me, is probably one of the most cost-effective things because of the amount of times that I've seen testing done in the past for companies who are doing something in production, and the signage company is doing something in Pantone, the printing company is doing something in CMYK, and they're just asking for all of these details and they don't turn out consistently. And so this is a great shortcut and something that can be done with intention by your designer in the beginning. And as a designer, this is a huge value add. Here are some of those examples where each of these could be 3 different companies that you're using. For us, Of course, we do all of the websites and everything in-house. There's that upside down header that we were talking about, and we have different suppliers for different types of merch. This is our packing tape for everything that we send out. We also have bubble mailers when we need them. And then this is just one example of a t-shirt who we have a couple different suppliers that we work with throughout different cities in Canada and the US. So showing examples, showing the intention of how things are supposed to be done is actually a good reference for people to be able to see when they are using your brand. Here's some more examples. There are those bubble mailers. That is my business card and my actual contact info. So if you need to get a hold of me, there's your little Easter egg for the video. And then this is something that I want to point out. The lanyards and the key tags that we have are actually a completely modified version that isn't shown in the brand standards above. And this is kind of on purpose because we're always trying to re-energize our brand with different things. And so this is something that was actually played around with and actually has this hard edge cut off where our logo can become a pattern in the background. But we don't create that as an opportunity to be done by anybody else. And so that's why it doesn't appear in our. Lastly, this is a link that you can actually click so that all of the files that are shown, production files, different specs, different versions, are actually housed on Google Drive as an open file so that anybody can download them that we need. And this is something that's easy to click and contact information for who to be in touch with. So I hope this gives you an example of why having a brand, having brand guidelines are something you should be really doing as a part of any redesign that is happening, whether it's a simple logo design, whether it's a design agency, whether it's somebody that you're working with as just a quick gig on Upwork. Make sure that it's something that is included so that the integrity of your brand can remain. The other tip that I would say is anything that you're looking for when you're trying to talk about what to do or why to do it is to really think about the intention of what your brand is supposed to look like. The applications here are really limited for us as a design and marketing agency because we don't have a huge production of signage that needs to be done for a storefront or a fleet of trucks that's out driving around or uniforms to maintain. But we know that a lot of the businesses that we work with do. And so some of the hidden costs that are actually built into doing a full redesign is part of something that a lot of people forget about. They look at the actual design costs and say, yes, I want a new logo. Yes, I want to change colors, but then are surprised when the other side happens, which is the production of changing everything over. And so be mindful of that. If you're more interested in creating budgets yourself for creative and different projects, then check the video that I will be posting right here so that you'll be able to see more about the total cost of doing a redesign. All right, if there's anything else that you're looking for, any other marketing tips, tactics, anything that you're trying to figure out with your brand and making it grow from a creative and a marketing perspective, get in touch on the different links that are below, and please sign up for our newsletter, Tactics of Marketing, where we break down different ways that you can help your company grow and success stories of people that have taken their company from scratch and grown just by having the best marketing that was a great fit. All right, until next time, talk soon.